This video we're gonna see how to create our own browser using Python. This video is especially useful for the Python or beginners who want to do graphical user interface projects to learn the Python. You consider this is the demo of the project that we're gonna build in this video. When we run this Python script, it will open up the Python browser for us. You consider the browser is very similar to the normal browser that we are using. For the default page, it will open up the google.com. In the google.com, you can search anything similar to how you search on the normal browsers. And if you want to go to other websites, you can use the search bar. You can see that when we type the youtube.com, it will go to the youtube.com, or you can go to any websites similar to how you do in the normal browser. So let us see how to build this browser using Python. Let's get started. So for this, we're gonna use a library called the PyQt5. You may think we can use the tkinter, but PyQt5 has a lot of features that the tkinter doesn't support. So we're gonna use the PyQt5 in this video. You consider just open any browser and in the search bar just type PyQt5. Just open this PyPy website. In this, just copy this command here, pip install PyQt5. So if you are using the Linux, open your terminal. If you are using Windows, open your command prompt and type the following command, pip install PyQt5. And along with this PyQt5, we're gonna need another library for the PyQt web engine. So we need the web engine so that it will load the websites for us. So pip install PyQt5 and PyQt web engine. We need these both libraries to build a browser for us using Python, and press enter. This will install the both libraries for us. Consider it starts downloading the libraries for us. While that is downloading, let me minimize this. I'm gonna open a folder in the Visual Studio Code. You consider have a folder here automation. Let me open this folder in the Visual Studio Code. So this is our project folder in this video. Let me open this folder in the Visual Studio Code. Now I have opened the folder in the Visual Studio Code, right? Let me delete these two files and let me create a new Python file called the browser.py. This is our Python file now that we're gonna work on. So let me open up the terminal to see if the libraries are installed or not. Consider now the libraries has been installed successful. Let me clear the screen and let me minimize both the terminals, and in the Python code we can start coding now. So from the PyQt that widgets, we're gonna import the Q application. So we will build this application gradually. First we will see how to set up a window, then how to add a web engine, and we will gradually add all the components. So first let's import the libraries now. So from the PyQt.qt widgets, we're gonna import the Q application. We need this so that it will track the user interactions like clicking a button or existing the browser. We need this Q application, and then let's define a class now. So I'm gonna create a class called the browser. This will take the Q main window. So we'll have to import that Q main window. So we're gonna use this class. Let me copy this class, and so we're gonna pass this. So basically the browser class will inherit the Q main window class. So we will have to create a constructor now. So let me define this constructor now. So def init. So this will take the self keyword as a parameter. So inside this we will have to call this Q main window. So basically this Q main window is a parent class and this browser is a child class. We'll have to call the parent class constructor. To do that, we're gonna use the keyword called the super keyword. So using the super keyword, you can call the parent class constructor. Basically Q main window class is a parent class and browser is the child class. We are importing all the properties from the Q main window into the browser class. So super, we're gonna call the init function. So we're gonna call the parent class constructor. So that's it. Now we have called the parent class constructor. We can initialize our own browser now by using the features from the parent class. Let's define the browser window now. So self.window, or we can say set window title. So just give a name for your application. In this case, I'm gonna just type browser, and finally we can define the geometrics. That is how long your browser should be, how provide your x, y, and width and height. So self.set geometry, inside is pass your x, y, width and height of your application. So I'm gonna type 100, 100 and 100 for the 4 values. So once we run the Python script, we can adjust it accordingly after we see the output. So this is it. So first we will see how to build a basic window, then we will gradually build more out of this. Let's define the application now. App equal to Q application. App equal to Q application. We need the app so that when a user press some button, it will track the event, right? So we'll have to pass this command and arguments to this Q application. So we'll have to import the sys. So import sys. So inside this Q application, we'll have to pass the sys dot arguments, command line arguments. So let me explain what this is dot rb. Normally, when you run the Python script, you can provide additional information. For example, when we run the python.browser.py, normally this is how you run the Python script, right? We can pass additional information while we run the Python file. You can see that you can pass the template equal to or styles equal to. You can pass additional information while running the Python script. So this additional information can be get using the sys.rgb. So this is the procedure to get the command line arguments. For example, here I pass the command line argument like color equal to y. To get these command line arguments, we're gonna use the uh, library called this sys. So let me pass the now sys.rg. So this will pass the additional information about our application. Now we got the application, right? We can get our window. Window equal to call our browser class. So that's it. Now we got the window, right? We can display the window. Window dot show. So basically, this show function is directly from the Q main window. You can see that in the browser we don't have the show function, right? This show function is directly coming from the Q main window, which is a parent class. And finally, if the user press the exit button, the app should end. To do the sys.exist app.exit. So that's it. Now we can run now. So Python browser.py, this is our script. Let me clear the screen. So we got error. I have a typo in the file name. So browser.py and press enter. You can see that now we got the just a sample window. Consider the size of this is way too small. We can increase it in the set geometry, right? So let me increase the x value to 500 and y value to 500 and also increase the width to 500 and the height to 500. Let me run this one more time. Press enter. You consider now the window has a size of 500 to 500. I think I should experiment with this, and so let me pause this video and I will set the appropriate value. Consider I have set the value to 700. So you can experiment with the width and height according to your needs, but I will stick with the with 700. Now we have set the basic window, right? We can work on the web engine. To do that, we need an additional library called the. So from the PyQt5 widgets web engine widgets, we're gonna import the QWebEngine. So we need the web engine so that we can load the websites directly. So let me call that now. So self dot browser equal to call the web engine view so that it will display the website into our app. So search the browser equal to QWeb engine. Now we got the web engine view. So now we have the initialize our web engine, right? We can provide a URL for the home page. So search the browser dot set URL. So we can pass the URL now. So I'm gonna type https://www.google.com. So we will have to pass it as a string. So when you save this file and run it, you should get a error. We do not have to pass the URL like this. We will have to pass the URL as a Q URL since this is a PyQt5. So we have to pass the URL as a Py URL. So to do that, so from the PyQt5.qt code, we're gonna import the Q URL. So let me enclose the URL with the Q URL. So now we have defined the browser and set the URL for the browser. So we'll have to select this browser is our main window. So if you don't do this and run it now, you won't get the any update. You consider still now it is displaying the empty window. We'll have to add the browser to this main window. To do that, we can use something like the self.set central widget. We'll have to update the central widget to the browser. So self.browser. Now when you run this Python script, let me save this file and try to run this one more time. This time it should load the google.com because we are using the PyWebEngineView. So let me try to run this one more time. You can see that now you loads the google.com. So here you can search anything. So let me search our channel name, programming with Kumaresan. You can see that it loads up our channel. Let me open this YouTube channel. You can see that this is how you search for your thing in our own browser. Let me close this. Currently, we only have a option to load any websites. We can also have a search bar, that is the URL bar. Currently, we don't have any functionality. We only have this page to display the google.com. So in the normal browser, we have a option called the search bar, where in the search bar you can search anything. But here we only have the web engine view, right? That displays only the google.com. So let me add the search bar now. To do that, we're gonna use something like URL bar. So let us define that now. URL bar equal to, so we're gonna use something like the Q line edit. So this will provide us the search bar like a feature. So Q line edit. So that's it. Now we got the URL bar. So when we press the URL bar, it should automatically update the browser. So to do that, self.url bar. When we press the return press, that is the enter key. When we press the enter key, it should uh, call a function which is our user function. So self dot load URL. So when we press the URL bar, it should trigger the load URL function. So let's define the load URL function. So before that, if you look at the central widget, we are passing the browser only. We can add two elements to this central widget. You'll have to pass them into a vertical layout. So inside the layout, we will attach the URL bar and the browser. Then we will pass the layout to the central widget. Let's do that now. So we can pass both the elements to this. We will have to align them in a fashion so that we can pass it as a single element. So layout equal to. So we're gonna create a uh, horizontal layout, because like stacking one element after each other. To do that, Q vertical layout. So layout equal to, we're gonna use the vertical layout because we're gonna put the one element after the another element. First we will put the URL bar. After that we're gonna put the browser itself. So let's try to do that now. So layout dot add. So first we're gonna add the widget called the URL. So self dot URL bar. First we're gonna add the URL bar to this layout, and then we're gonna add the browser to this layout. So layout equal to, we're gonna add the browser now. So that's it. This URL now contains the two elements. We can put this layout inside a container. You can think of the container like a widget. So we only pass the either single element or a container only. Container means widget. We can't pass the layout directly. We will have to put them inside a widget, right? So container equal to Q widget equal to. So we're gonna import the Q widget now. So this widget will provide us the central widget. So container equal to, so we're gonna call the Q widget. So now we put the layout inside this container. So container dot set layout. So the layer will be our layout that we have defined above. And finally, we can put the container inside this central widget. This should work now. So let me save this Python script and let's try to run this now. So we get a error like browser has no object called the load URL. So we forget to define the load URL function. So let's define that now. So basically the load URL function will update the browser URL. You consider above the code we have the self.browser.set URL. We will have to update once the URL press enter. So let's do that now. So when the user press enter, the URL should be changed. So let's do that now. So we're gonna define the load URL function. So this will take the URL. So first let's fetch the URL, actual URL from the URL bar. So self.url bar. Basically the load URL function will take the self as a parameter, not the URL. Let me update that. So that's it. Then we're gonna grab this text. Now we got the URL. We can update this browser set URL. So browser dot set URL, we're gonna update the URL now. Once the user press the enter on the URL bar. So that's it. This should work now. Let me save this Python script. So Python browser.py, you can see that we got a browser that's load up the google.com, and we type https youtube.com, it should load the youtube.com. Consider it goes to the youtube.com. Similarly, you can go to any websites that you use in the normal browser. For example, you can go to the facebook.com. Consider you can go to the linkedin.com, facebook.com, or anything. So let me go to the Google and let's try to search something. we can search anything that you normally do. We can also change the language here. I think, yeah, you can all more functionalities like you can go to add a back and forward button. Currently, we only have the URL bar and the and a web engine to display the page, right? We can add more functionalities later. I will do that as a part 2 of this video. So yeah, this is how you build a browser using Python. So this is for this video and I will continue in the next one.